things like which I have learned also, like few years back I was not doing any CI/CD, right? So when somebody
Hmm.
says CI/CD, I used to think, okay, it's rocket science. But
Yeah.
the first time you create your first pipeline or do any such thing, you will realize it's not a very big thing, right? People are
Yeah.
making a lot of hype about it, okay, as if it's very, very difficult, right? It's not.
Yeah.
So when you understand it, you can maybe suggest something. So there are three things mostly companies are asking. I'm not saying that I support all this, but that's what the trend in the market,
Yeah.
right? So you should have the testing knowledge, you should
Hmm.
know automation, and you should know data structure and algorithms, right? So these are the three major areas.
Yeah.
So cloud is just one thing. So yeah, I would say that people should learn that, right? And it's easier because even Azure, Microsoft provides some free Azure credits, and there are some solutions by which you can practice as well. So
Yeah.
it's good to know so that it's part of your resume and you understand that it's not, and you can think now at that level, like
Yes.
involving Azure in my automation or in my testing, what I can
Hmm.
do so that I can leverage that. Right, maybe your company has already invested a lot. You have
Role. So how do you suggest to transition from an test engineer to an architect role?
when the core concepts get missing, you cannot become a better tester, right? Because we are not taking advantage of the thing the way it is. So first thing is that whatever you are doing, try to understand it,
Hmm.
take advice from the people around you, or see that how they are doing.
Hello everyone. Hope you all are doing good. And in today's video, we have Gaurav with us, who has almost 12 years of experience, and from past 4 years, he's working in Microsoft. So over to you, Gaurav.
Hello, hi everyone. So yeah, my name is Gaurav and I've been in the industry for 12 years. Always worked as a tester. I was in a product based company, like which was in telecom domain, then into insurance domain, now in Microsoft. So throughout this, I have been into testing and I enjoy testing. I was put into testing by chance, but then I really enjoyed my whole journey. And here I am with Shalish.
Great. So Gaurav, like we all start our journey as a manual tester, or like after doing couple of manual things, we try to switch to automation, and like, but in the whole journey, so what do you suggest, like how to be improve yourself as a tester?
Okay, so there are different aspects to it, right? One portion is automation, um, which is like which everybody knows, and there is a lot of content, lot of things about it, so many YouTube channels and all that stuff, and people are learning, right? And that is also important. But the other parts which are important, which I would say, like what skills are there? For example, communication is a very important skill, right? So for example, let me take the example of reporting, right? If somebody asks you that what is the state of application, one person can tell that look at the dashboard, or they can report like there are 100 test case, 5 are failing, right?
Mhm.
So this is not the information that that different people might be looking for, right? So if you are telling this project manager, you can tell that okay, there is a filter portion which is recently introduced and that is not working with a specific thing. At the
Mhm.
same time, when you communicate this information to a developer, you should be in a technical position that you can tell that okay, certain API is failing
Yeah.
because of, and there is an error that we are not passing the thing properly. So tester has to be a good storyteller,
Hmm.
and he should know good communication by which he conveys relevant information to the relevant stakeholders, which
Exactly.
at times we see that this skill is missing,
Missing.
right? In many of the people it's not there, but if it is there, it can add a lot of value in the system.
Exactly. And to add on to that, I have seen like previously what testers used to do is just to file a bug. But nowadays, as the industry is progressing, so it is expected out of a tester that you should do basic debugging. And let's say there is an error coming. So, like rather than just putting and saying that this error is coming, you should also debug and try to see which module is throwing that error. So that is something which I think we all should work on and develop that skill.
Yeah, I think it's a very relevant point. Like I remember that when I started my career, like we used to have, like we were working in a Linux or Unix system, right, where things are not maybe you do some things and there were Unix server, there were servers running in Unix, so you have to go to the trace file, you have to go into the log files. So that will help actually the developer, right? So if you tell directly that problem, okay, this is the file and there the problem is coming, it's even better for them, and you understand that, and that way even you can test the system better, right? Because you can read, maybe some people find it initially difficult to code, right? But you can
Yeah.
read it, you can
Yes.
read the code, right? There are if else condition. By that also many a times I found many bugs, because there are if and switch conditions, right? So and you know the requirement, so you know that okay, certain conditions are missed. So without
Mhm.
even trying that scenario, you can directly tell that okay, this has been missed, right?
Mhm.
So that actually plays a very critical role in understanding the system as well, because sometimes you are testing something which will never happen, right? So if you
Exactly.
know the technicalities also, you can think from that perspective as well. And yeah, it's very right that you should do the debugging, you should add more things, because ultimately it will save time as well, because developer is going to do the same things to debug to reach over there. If you can share that information, that will be helpful for the product.
Exactly. And nowadays, with the concept of SDETs, we like testers are in a position to write the unit test cases. So that is also a good approach which testers should follow. That like even if you're not able to write the test cases, just look at the code and try to see what all test cases you can add in the unit test cases. So that will help the developer also. Plus, it will help in your understanding also. Plus, at the same time, when you are testing the code, so that the same code will help you to test the application better.
Right. Yeah. As we follow the test pyramid, so if you are testing at the earliest level, because
Exactly.
bugs become costly if you are finding it later on, right? So
Yeah.
if you can find it at the unit level, you can avoid it so many tests that we write at the UI level, which takes maybe 3 minutes, 4 minutes, and sometimes there are longer flows which take 9 minutes to reach
Mhm.
that place.
Yeah, when we were like manual testers, we all like all the time we used to hear that story that okay, we need to find bugs at an early stage. But now when we are implementing the same thing, we get to know okay what it actually means. So that was more of a theoretical that time, and it's practical nowadays. So it's really like a great point which you have told. So
And other things are also like collaboration, right? So like in the starting of my career, when I see that there were different teams, right? Now with agile you have a single team, though
mhm,
even though within the team we have testers, developers, but you are collaborating more, right?
mhm,
So take the ideas from different people when you are creating a test strategy or test plan, because DevOps is more about collaboration,
exactly.
right? But in the industry at many places we have taken it like CI/CD, right?
Yeah,
People are busy in creating the pipelines and doing stuff, which is good. So those are the enablers actually. But the main DevOps means collaboration, right? If that is missing, that creates so many problems. Okay, then we do finger point in RCA. Okay, if you missed it, then developer also missed it, then requirement also missed it, right? So if that collaboration, which is the core concept of DevOps, it's there. If we understand it right, then we can implement it also right. So that also we see that sometimes the concepts are taken in a very wrong way. So similar is an example of BDD, right? So if you ask someone BDD, given, when, then, gherkin, all these things people are talking, and everybody, and in most of
yeah,
the projects, like
yeah,
everywhere, you will see that testers are just writing that BDD language, right?
exactly.
Developer is not looking into it. People are, so when the core concepts get missing, you cannot become a better tester, right? Because we are not taking advantage of the thing the way it is. So first thing is that whatever you are doing, try to understand it,
Mhm.
take advice from the people around you, or see that how they are doing, how it can be done in a better way. Then I think having these skills and using the other people expertise, you can become a effective or better tester, I would say.
Exactly. And this was something which I would like to discuss next. That like after building the code, okay, how important as a tester you should understand the CI/CD pipeline and how the code is getting deployed into the like let's say UAT or production server.
So yeah, so if you have reached a particular level that okay, you understand your system well. So as we say that, right, learning, like you can learn anything and everything, right? The more you learn, the better you can suggest over things, right? Maybe you don't know like these days in Shark Tank, one guy came and somebody asked, okay, you are from a mechanical background, how you are running a company? Like he was, I think, selling some smartwatch which is having some software. So
Yeah.
he said a simple thing that for doing all these things, you need common sense, right?
Yes.
So with common sense, what I mean in here in CI/CD, like even if you understand the logical structure, right?
Hmm.
You are participating in a project, so some okay, you saw that. So I'll take an example of one of my projects where I worked. So there were like when you run a CI/CD pipeline, there were 10 agents, right?
Hmm.
But we are using only like there was a parameter over there that maximum parallel is 4, right?
Yep.
And the pipeline runs at night where nobody else is using. So
Hmm.
I just saw and I say that let's make it 9,
Yeah.
right? If you can run 4 things in parallel, you can run 9 also
Nine
in
things.
parallel.
Yeah.
So that was just common sense. So understanding that is important, and for that you have to take out the fear, right? Because many a things like which I have learned also, like few years back I was not doing any CI/CD, right? So when somebody
Hmm.
says CI/CD, I used to think, okay, it's rocket science.
Yeah.
But the first time you create your first pipeline or do any such thing, you will realize it's not a very big thing, right? People are
Yeah.
making like a lot of hype about it, okay, as if it's very, very difficult, right? It's not.
Yeah.
So when you understand it, you can maybe suggest some things. For example, as you told that unit tests are there, right? If you know
Hmm.
that how CI/CD is working, maybe an idea can click you. Okay, why not run those JUnit tests over there, right? So
Hmm.
that whenever there is a build run, you get the early feedback.
Yeah.
So it's important to understand that so that you can at least suggest somebody, right? So if you know
Hmm.
the system, you can't do it, at least you can suggest it. So it's important that the system in which you are working, if you know it, you can maybe probably suggest some improvements or actually improve those things.
Yeah, and just to add on your previous point regarding anyone can learn anything given a certain frame of time. And nowadays, when I like interact with my like peers and like a couple of more people, so I get to see that those are from non-IT background. So someone is from mechanical background doing testing. Someone is from like non-IT itself, like BSc, and after that, like they're into development and they are doing really good. So that like what you told is really true, that like with the certain common sense and certain frame of mind, anyone can learn anything. So perfect. And let's say like after couple of years you get really bored in your work, or like things started like repeating. So like after a certain period of time you have to go towards that architect role. So how do you suggest to transition from an test engineer to an architect role?
Okay, so first I would say that mm, that boring thing, right? So that boring thing should, I think, might not come. Like if you are continuously learning, you are
Exactly.
continuously improving and working on things. So many a times, like in one of my previous interviews, we told that we are in a mindset, okay, that
Hmm.
testing is simple, 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 and you are not giving your best over there, right? If you start
Hmm.
giving your best, there are uh, many things to it, right? There are things which we are not even maybe thinking, like everybody's maybe not many people are talking about, like everybody talk about Selenium API automation. So this which has become a little common now, which
Yeah.
was not there a few years back, right?
Yes.
Now there are people who are even using design patterns in their test automation, right? And some people are even using Dockers, right? Running
So
10,000 tests in parallel.
like
So
sorry
those,
to interrupt, but
yeah.
this is like I'm hearing for the first time like test design in the like say a framework. So like
Hmm.
previously I've only heard about system designing in development, but this is for the first time I'm hearing that people like design their frameworks.
So what exactly the word I was using? Design pattern, right?
Design
So
pattern. Yeah.
sometimes, so you can simply automate something, right? Or you can do it at a scalable level. Let's say that, okay, tomorrow localization comes, right? Let's
Hmm.
say that your site completely got change in French language. So how much change is required in your automation framework? Have you designed at that level? So what happens is that, okay, instead of the next level, there are many things at this level. So what I would say at the architect level, so people expect these days that when you are architect, you are not only at the test level, you are at the solution level architect, right?
Yeah.
So at that time, you will have to understand the whole system. You have to see that what is the architecture, because most of the new apps that are getting developed, they are on the cloud. right? Which has various technologies. So for example, when I worked on some of project, we have Azure Data Lake, Azure Explorer, right? So many things are getting involved. So when all these things interact, we have to understand them, because a problem in one would be a bottleneck for the others, right?
Yeah,
Maybe you are
yeah,
thinking that okay, we will implement in this way, but because the other thing is not allowing you to do that. So once you develop that understanding where you become a generalist kind of, right, you think
mm-hmm.
from one level beyond, right? So and you have handled some projects at a independent level, right? Not only just the test lead level, you are interacting with other how the solution is getting implemented. So I think that way you are progressing towards that rule, and maybe for some time you can shadow someone that what
Yeah,
actually they are doing. Then you can imbibe those qualities, and maybe you can approach for that level. And depends that, because various companies have various designations and they do
yeah,
things differently. So
exactly.
it varies from company to company, but yeah, shadowing will help a person to reach or aspire for a particular goal.
Yeah, and in like in between, you have said like there are a couple of Azure services. So I want to know that how much is, let's say, Microsoft certification, the Azure certification helps you as a tester.
So yeah, so as I said, like initially that CI/CD thing, right?
Hmm.
It's a hype, like people
Yeah,
don't know. So that certification will help you that you get the understanding what it is, how it works. Like you have a definition more than that cloud is nothing but someone's else computer,
yeah,
right? So when you try things, you will see that okay, it's simple. Actually it is the same basic definition. Yeah, it's someone else computer that you are operating things, and you learn things at that level, like because
yeah,
cloud is another technology. Just like you had a phone earlier, right, where for pressing D you have to type one key four times, A B C D, one 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 one, right? But how we had, and even our parents have moved to the new smartphone, right?
yeah,
So cloud is just one thing. So yeah, I would say that people should learn that, right? And it's easier because even Azure, Microsoft provides some free Azure credits, and there are some solutions by which you can practice as well. So
yeah,
it's good to know, so that it's part of your resume and you understand that it's not, and you can think now at that level, like
yes,
involving Azure in my automation or in my testing, what I can
mhm,
do so that I can leverage that, right? Maybe your company has already invested a lot. You have so many maybe VMs they have purchased which are
yeah,
not running even at all, and they are even at free of cost, right?
yeah,
Some of them, because the company has bought an enterprise subscription. So
hmm,
if you know it, you can utilize it. If you don't know it,
exactly.
it's a disadvantage.
Yep.
So it's better to know it at least at the basic level. And I think you have, even for AZ900, I saw some of your posts. So
Yeah,
that's a basic one, I think. And that certification really helps to know the various components that
exactly.
exist in Azure. So I think it's good to have cloud knowledge, because if you have one cloud knowledge, maybe it's AWS or GCP,
Yeah.
most of them works in one or the same way. It's just the
Names are
terminology
different.
that,
Yeah, but
correct, yeah, the
under the
terminology they use different.
core services are almost same in all across all the like service providers. Plus, like regarding the AZ900 thing, I think it should like it is not only for testers but for BA, for developers, everyone who is out there who is working in an agile team should know the basic terminologies, because nowadays everyone uses Azure boards. So this is something like which really helps in understanding that how things are moving, and that is only a one part. Like if we go through the whole syllabus, it's really interesting to know. And like when I was preparing, so like all the things I know earlier, but like once you go through the syllabus and read those things, it really fascinates you that okay, this is something like eureka moment. Why hadn't we had this earlier? So that's like that's the thing. And like next thing I want to know is that like how like the top product based companies like work as a QA. So as a QA, if I'm working like as you are working in Microsoft, so how like what's the difference working over there, like how the QA works and the day to
So
day.
one thing I see is there is culture is good, right? So when I say culture is good, there are no restrictions as such, like and it depends on various portions that you're working in. So I'm working in one particular entity, so I can tell about that, how we work. So there is independence in the sense that you are free to implement your ideas,
Hmm.
right? So if you will say that, okay, I'll automate in this particular project using Python or using Java or using any other thing, so you are free to do that. Nobody will force you to say that, okay, no, this is the right way, right? Or that is the way. So you are free to experiment, so which is good, right? So you can bring, so depends that, right? If you are joining a project where something is already there, still
Yeah.
also people will welcome your idea. And as you said, that certification part, so like all managers are, uh, it's mandatory to do those Azure training so
Yeah.
that everybody can talk at that level, right? So and there is a growth mindset, right? People are
Yeah.
using new technologies, new things, and uh, mostly I think most of the projects don't last for more than like for 5 7 10 years, right? So that
Hmm.
you have the latest technologies, latest things. So that is what I would say is different, and it's just the people actually, that
Yeah.
people with
Yeah.
the growth mindset, everybody is active, so that motivates you to even learn more, do better.
Exactly. When you're surrounded with really great minds, it like pushes you to like move your level also. So that is something of like that is the benefit of working in great organizations. And like my last question to you would be like how, as like if someone is working in a like service based organization and he's aspiring to crack those top product based organization. So what three suggestions from you?
Okay, so first of all, mm, I think stop differentiating between service and product, uh, because what I think is that it's the old comparison that doctor is better than engineer, engineer is better than commerce. All those things are like doesn't matter actually,
Hmm.
that whether it's a product based or service based, it depends that where you are working, because I have
Hmm.
worked in product based, but product based also have some products which are very old, right? But some customers are there. If you are put into that, then you will think that, okay, I was better in a service based where I was using the latest technology, which with the latest softwares compared to something that, right? uh, so that problem is not there,
Yeah.
right? So there are three things mostly companies are asking. I'm not saying that I support all this, but that's what the trend in the market,
Yeah.
right? So you should have the testing knowledge, you should
Hmm.
know automation, and you should know data structure and algorithms, right? So these are the three major areas. Now,
Yeah.
some are asking only maybe one or two, or maybe all three, right? So whichever organization you want to go, contact with those people like who are working over there, understand what they are doing, right?
Yeah,
Because from
exactly.
outside, you just know there is a brand, right? So
Exactly.
talk with the people, what they are working, what all is needed, right? Because maybe you spend a lot of time on data structure and you are not interested in that, and maybe the company you are going, they are also not using any of those things,
Hmm.
right? So that then you spend a lot of time maybe grabbing those concepts, just learning for only for clearing the interview. Maybe you
Yeah.
can better hone your skills in testing if you have interest over there, right?
Yep.
Or you can be a better automation engineer and see that where what is being used. But yeah, these
Hmm.
are the three major things. And just because of automation and data structure, don't miss the testing
Exactly.
skills, right? Which are important. And if you'll not excel over there, maybe you will get rejected for the rest too, because they can directly hire a developer, right? If they want only those skills, it is the testing skill which will take you to a longer run where you are adding value,
Yep.
bringing your testing expertise over there. So yeah.
This is a really interesting thing that like if they need an automation engineer, they can hire a developer and like I'm sure those guys can develop a framework. But it's the testing mindset which differentiates a tester from a developer. So great. I really enjoyed this session and thank you Gaurav for those insights. I'm sure like our viewers will definitely benefit out of these points, and I'm sure whatever you have told will benefit most of us.
Sure. Thank you, and all the best for your channel and great work you are doing. And if
Great.
anybody has any questions, they can put in the comments and I'll try to answer.
Sure. And Gaurav also has a great LinkedIn following. So if you're not following Gaurav or LinkedIn, just go over there. Plus, he also have a YouTube channel, so you can check it out. I'll pin it down in the description box. So like you can get in touch with Gaurav in case you have any doubt. So thank you, Gaurav.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, guys.